We just had a massive rain, so I figured I should probably harvest my garlic. Where the moisture might damage it. So you get a heavy rain and your garlic's starting to turn brown and stuff. It's probably going dormant. You're gonna want to pull it out, let it dry out on the shelf for a few months so you can plant it in late fall. Come join me in the chaos so we can see how my garlic turned out. And as you can see, I have some garlic here. So this area only gets about 4 or 5 hours of sunlight, of direct sunlight, I should say. It gets filtered sunlight obviously all day because it's outside, but I would say probably about 5, maybe 6 hours of direct sunlight. And I have other spots in my yard where I'm experimenting with garlic in sun all day long, and so I want to compare to see how it turned out. So these garlics got about 5 to 6 hours of sunlight a day. So let's see how they turned out. I didn't cut too close to that, but I highly doubt it's going to be much bigger than that. That's a pretty decent sized one. All right, so I'm fairly impressed. I mean, this is probably bigger than what I started with. I would say the ones that I started with are probably about that big. So these two are definitely bigger than what I started with, which is usually what I expect if I'm going to use like 3 or 4 inches of mulch, because basically that provides more than the nutrients the plant will need, and so you can really maximize the growth and get maximum growth. But again, this was in a place that only got like 5 hours of sunlight, so it's nice to know with these hardnecks that I can get plenty of growth even though I'm in the shade most of the day. So if you're planning on or thinking about planting garlic in the shade, yeah, it'll work. I have some soft necks I'm gonna dig up in just a minute. All right, so I don't know what happened with my footage, but this is what they look like after I dug them up. So again, these are my hard necks. So this is my biggest hard neck, and these are soft necks. And I actually, this is a funny story. So my wife bought a bunch of garlic from Walmart, like, you know, little netted bags, and they were starting to sprout, and so she didn't want to use them, so I'm like, I'll take them. And so I just separated out the cloves and planted these guys. So that's where I got all these soft necks from. Somebody told me that soft necks don't grow very well, or hard necks are better, or something along those lines. But anyway, as you can see, these soft necks grew incredibly well, and they all have lots and lots of cloves. Like, you can see them, how developed they are. Again, my only trick is mulch. I mean, I kind of feel the ground. I walk around and I can feel it under my feet. If it's dry, I'll give everything a little soak. But generally in Zone 6, Missouri, it just rains about once a week, so you don't really need to water that much. Especially with garlic. Garlic's pretty drought resistant because obviously it has this big bulb. Anything with a bulb or a tuber or any storage thing like that is able to store water. But again, you could theoretically probably get a little bit more growth if you were to water them more regularly. I just know I had an irrigation system on garlic when I lived in Arizona, and the irrigation system kept the ground a little bit too wet and the garlic rotted. So I think you kind of want the soil to dry out between waterings with garlic. At least that's what my intuition tells me. I mean, if you are a garlic farmer and know better, definitely teach me. This is my very first time ever getting an actual harvest from garlic. Last time I tried it again, I was in Arizona and everything just rotted in the ground. But this seems to have turned out pretty well. I'm just gonna let it dry in the sun the rest of the day and store it, braid it up and store it in my basement garage near a dehumidifier. So it worked, yay! And all you need is mulch. One last thing I wanted to mention though, that a lot of people will cut the green part off right away, and you actually want to leave that on and put it out in the sun, because the plant will continue trying to do photosynthesis, which pulls excess water from the bulb. And so I would do that definitely for at least a few hours, just to pull some of that excess water and dry out the garlic before you cut off the extra green. Then your last step is to get it all braided up, to let it dry. So I have a climate controlled basement and with a dehumidifier, so I keep the humidity low enough that I can dry things out that need to be dried. So I keep it at about 50% humidity. My basement will go up to about 70% humidity in Missouri. So depending on where you are, just figure out what's normal humidity. And I would say go 10 or 15% less humidity than normal, just to make sure things are going to dry out properly in your basement. But this will probably take about a month or so before I would cut anything back. And then there's still nutrients in those stems that are going to be going into those heads. But some pretty decent heads of garlic. I'm pretty excited.
Where the wild things grow and graze in nature's rhythm, letting the seeds we sow in the sun will toe with dirt between our toes. God's rules for plants only Father Adam knows. Come join me in the chaos gardening, where the wildflowers bloom, letting nature take the lead in this beautiful commune. Where the food forest thrives in the joy of growing, our hearts come alive, embracing the mess where nature takes control. Come join me in the chaos, let the bounty unfold. Come join me in the chaos, where the food forest thrives in the joy of growing, our hearts come alive, embracing the mess where nature takes control. Come join me in the chaos, let the bounty unfold. Come join me in the chaos, where the veggies are ripe, watching the magic as plants come to life. In the chaos we find peace as the garden sings. Natural selection at work as nature brings. Come join me in the chaos, letting go of control in the symphony of green. Come join me in the chaos, where the food forest thrives in the joy of growing, our hearts come alive, embracing the mess where nature takes control.